Have you ever trusted someone so deeply that their silence started to feel louder than their words? Betrayal rarely shouts. It arrives dressed in loyalty, speaking your language, mirroring your values, and just when you begin to relax, to believe, it strikes. Machiavelli understood this with chilling clarity. He did not simply fear betrayal. He mapped its rhythm. He studied how it grows quietly behind smiles, beneath gestures of agreement, beside those who know your strengths and wait for your distractions. The truth is, most people are not betrayed because they are naive. They are betrayed because they choose to overlook what they do not want to see. A hesitation dismissed as fatigue, a shift in tone excused as stress. But the Stoic sees the world as it is, not as he wishes it to be. And that is why Machiavelli believed the most dangerous mistake you can make is not trusting others, but trusting without structure, trusting without limits. In this video, we will explore 3 rare yet precise signs that reveal hidden disloyalty before it unfolds, not based on speculation, but on centuries of power, politics, and pattern. If you've ever felt a gut instinct that something was off, stay with me. What you'll learn next may change how you protect yourself forever. 1. Shadow obedience, the illusion of agreement. There is a silence that is not peace, and an obedience that is not loyalty. Machiavelli understood this with piercing clarity. In The Prince, he warned rulers never to confuse outward submission with inner allegiance. When someone has been defeated, removed from power, or brought under your rule, they may nod, they may smile, they may even serve you with apparent enthusiasm, but they are not serving you out of devotion. They are biding time. As Machiavelli wrote, if harm must be done, it must be done swiftly and entirely, lest the injured recover and retaliate. The Stoic would recognize this truth in human nature. People do not always act in accordance with what they believe. Sometimes, what looks like humility is simply calculation. What looks like calm is a coiled will. And what looks like agreement is merely absence of opportunity. You will see it in the colleague who once offered fresh thoughts. Now only echoes what you say. In the friend who once challenged you with honesty, now only compliments. In the partner who suddenly grows silent, not out of peace, but strategy, when their voice disappears. And all you hear is agreement. Beware. Not everyone quiet has made peace. Some have made plans. Machiavelli offered the example of Cesare Borgia, who installed a cruel governor to do the necessary violence, then eliminated him publicly to gain favor. It was not mercy, it was precision. The people feared Borgia not for his force, but for his timing. And that is the real warning. Those who seem compliant may simply be waiting for your next mistake. So test gently, but watch closely. The Stoic does not assume danger, but neither does he sleep near shadows with eyes closed. Where there is no friction, there may be no truth. 2. Flooded with words, starved of truth. There is a kind of speech that does not connect but conceals. Machiavelli warned not of the quiet enemy, but of the loud friend who says much, yet means little, in discourses. He exposed the tactic of traitors, not to hide in silence, but to surround you with words so plentiful they blur the truth. They check in constantly, affirm every idea, compliment your strength, and echo your phrases. But listen closely. They offer no resistance, no distinct thought, no challenge. That is not support. That is surveillance. When someone speaks often but never risks disagreement, never brings discomfort, what they're doing is watching, not building. Their goal is not unity, it is access. Machiavelli made it clear that those who intend to betray often soften their path with flattery, because betrayal is easiest when trust has been dulled by comfort, as he observed. People will not hesitate to sever loyalty when it no longer serves them. And when they begin preparing to do so, they overcompensate. They do not grow distant, they grow too close. They make themselves visible, not to offer help, but to distract you from their absence of real commitment. The Stoic sees this clearly. For proximity does not mean safety, it means exposure. It is not your distant critics who betray you, it is the ones with a key to your inner circle, the ones who speak softly near your guard. This is why Machiavelli insisted rulers keep no single advisor too favored, too irreplaceable. Dependence must be mutual. For when one person begins to feel essential, they stop being loyal and start calculating. And you will see this not in confrontation, but in passivity. The partner who flatters but avoids hard questions. The co-founder who praises every pitch but hasn't acted in weeks. The friend who calls daily but never asks anything real. They stay close, not because they care, but because they're waiting. Waiting for the moment your clarity fades. So be firm, be observant, and remember, in the Stoic world, truth is not loud, it is consistent, and when speech hides more than it reveals, you are not being supported, you are being studied. 3. When growth becomes distance. The deepest betrayals are not born in anger, they are born in silence. Not all betrayals come from enemies. Some come from those who once walked beside you, shared your goals, shared your journey, and then, quietly, walked away without leaving the room. Machiavelli saw this truth reflected again and again. People do not always betray you because they hate you. Often, they betray you because their direction changed, and you failed to notice. Loyalty, like alignment, is never fixed. It flows with shared purpose, and the moment two visions diverge, loyalty begins to erode, not in one swift break, but in subtle cracks that multiply beneath the surface, in discourses. Machiavelli reflected on how political alliances fracture not through confrontation, but through quiet drift. When people stop believing in a common cause, they stop building together, they begin to pursue their own paths. And, in time, those paths become separate kingdoms. That is how betrayal begins, not in rebellion, but in divergence in your world. This may appear in the form of a partner whose ambition suddenly grows, but not in the direction of your shared vision, a friend whose energy shifts, still present, but vague, a colleague who grows faster, louder, more distant, yet never confronts you directly. They are not attacking, but they are no longer building with you. And if you miss this moment, if you tell yourself it's nothing, you create the perfect conditions for betrayal to bloom. This is not about controlling others. This is about recognizing when mutual evolution becomes independent ambition. Not all growth is dangerous, but growth that loses alignment is the beginning of competition. And competition, when hidden, is more dangerous than opposition declared. Because the one who opposes you from afar gives you time to prepare. The one who builds in secret while still calling you brother, that is the one who will strike when you are least ready. Machiavelli did not teach us to suspect everyone. He taught us to observe change, to trace patterns. He believed that a wise ruler does not wait for betrayal to become obvious. By then, the damage is done. The moment you see someone shifting their tone, changing their language, referencing goals you are not part of, you are no longer being included, you are being phased out. And if you hesitate, if you excuse it, if you cling to old memories instead of confronting the present reality, you are not being noble, you are being naive. The Stoic, like the strategist, understands that clarity is more merciful than delay. When a relationship shifts, you do not plead for restoration, you test the alignment, you speak your direction plainly. You say, "Here is where I am going. Are you still with me?" And then you listen. Not to the words, but to the energy. Do they meet you with conviction or with hesitation? Do they bring new ideas that fit your path? Or do they redirect toward their own mountain? That hesitation, that quiet misalignment, is the beginning of fracture, and every fracture ignored becomes a break you cannot mend. Now look at the other signs. Remember shadow obedience. The person who once brought challenge and truth now only echoes your words. They are not more loyal, they are more careful. They are calculating your moves, rehearsing theirs. Their silence is not peace. It is a pause before action. Machiavelli understood this well from observing the court. When voices disappeared, he knew it was not because everyone agreed. It was because someone was preparing. So how do you respond? Not with confrontation, with observation. Introduce disruption, announce a new direction. Watch who adapts and who flinches, who aligns naturally and who scrambles to recalibrate. Those who are truly with you will respond with clarity. Those who are not will lose their script. Now recall the second sign: over-communication without clarity. The flood of praise that carries no risk. The constant presence that holds no weight. These people orbit you not out of connection, but out of strategy. Machiavelli wrote that those who avoid stakes are the first to flee. They smile to stay close, not because they care, but because proximity gives them knowledge. They gather, they observe, but they do not invest. Their praise hides absence. Their attention hides retreat. And when the time comes, they will not protect your kingdom. They will walk away with what they've learned. So what do you do when you detect misaligned evolution? You do not accuse. You restructure. You clarify your path and create conditions where only those who are truly aligned will thrive. You don't chase commitment. You raise the standard. You introduce real responsibility, real ownership, real consequence. If someone is still with you, they will rise to it. If not, they will step back on their own. That is not betrayal. That is exposure. And exposure is the Stoics' greatest ally, because what is hidden cannot be addressed, but what is revealed can be managed, restructured, replaced. Machiavelli had no tolerance for halfway allegiance. He wrote, "Men must be either cherished or destroyed." What he meant was simple. Partial loyalty is not loyalty, it is a liability. You cannot build an empire on maybe. You cannot entrust your vision to someone whose heart is in two places. If someone around you is hesitating, posturing, smiling while drifting, and you allow it, you are not being wise. You are feeding your own downfall. So you must act, not with anger, not with fear, but with clarity. Remove their influence quietly, shift the power structure, limit their access to information, assign their responsibilities elsewhere. Replace loyalty that hesitates with loyalty that builds. Do not explain, do not justify, do not wait for the storm to come. Seal the windows now, because once they strike, it is already too late. This is what Machiavelli meant when he said that power is not defended through affection, but through structure. If someone betrayed to join you, they will eventually betray to leave you, not because they are evil, but because their interest no longer aligns with yours. The Stoic does not curse the storm. He prepares his shelter. You do not demand loyalty. You build conditions that make disloyalty unprofitable. And if they leave, let them. But let them leave with nothing they did not earn. At the end of the day, the betrayal that breaks you is rarely the one that came suddenly. It is the one that grew slowly while you were too hopeful to see it. Do not live in fear, but do not sleep through the signs. Watch the language, watch the silence, watch the shift in posture. And when clarity comes, do not delay. The Stoic way is not to punish betrayal. It is to prevent it, not by chaining others, but by being so firm in your direction that no one can drift without being noticed. and no one can stay unless they belong. That is how you endure. That is how you lead. And that is how you win. So here's a fourth bonus sign. One that few ever name because it doesn't strike like betrayal. It seeps in through charm and timing. And it's a bonus because while the first three reveal how betrayal begins, this one shows you who was never truly loyal to begin with. 4. Rootless loyalty is no loyalty. You have seen them before. The ones who praise you not because they believe in you, but because you are currently winning. They wear the mask of allegiance, speak the right words, stand by your side in moments of triumph, yet carry no weight of sacrifice behind their loyalty. Yesterday, they stood with someone else. Today, they stand with you, not because they have found truth, but because they have lost shelter. Machiavelli warned us plainly, beware of the man who abandoned his last commander, not because he was wronged, but because he is comfortable with shifting sides. His loyalty is not built on principle, it is built on convenience. The moment your power slips, so will his commitment. In The Prince, Machiavelli uses the mercenaries of Renaissance Italy to deliver one of his most brutal truths. Princes who relied on hired swords, men who fought for pay and not for purpose, always fell. These soldiers would disappear the moment risk outweighed reward. And in your life, these mercenaries still exist. They no longer wear armor, they wear charm, they echo your vision, they mimic your tone, but they are not loyal to you, they are loyal to the advantage you represent. And when that advantage fades, so will they. So how do you recognize them? Do not judge their presence, judge their path. How did they come to stand beside you? Were they drawn to your values, or driven by rejection from someone else? Did they build with you when there was nothing? Or did they arrive only after your success became visible? Because the person who only joins you at the top has no memory of the climb, and when you fall, they will not reach. Loyalty is not measured by proximity, it is measured by price. The Stoic understands that what is earned holds value. What is given freely is rarely held firmly. If someone has never sacrificed for your cause, they have never proven anything. Machiavelli put it simply, if a man is not willing to suffer for your gain, he will never suffer to protect your loss. So create the test, quietly, subtly, introduce cost, introduce discomfort, remove applause, delay reward, see who stays, not with words, but with presence. The ones who endure small storms will not abandon you in greater ones. That is your true circle. If this idea brought clarity, and you want more of this kind of truth, consider subscribing so you never miss what comes next. Because the next sign is the one most people never see until it's too late. Let's keep going. Good intentions are not armor. There is a fatal illusion that ruins even the strongest leaders. The belief that good intentions will shield you from betrayal, but as Machiavelli warned with cold precision, they do not. Men do not remain loyal because of shared values, because of kindness, or even because of respect. They remain loyal only when it serves their interest to do so. The Stoic accepts this not as cynicism, but as clarity. Loyalty built on sentiment is fragile. It bends, it shifts. And when circumstances change, so does allegiance. A person may laugh with you, weep beside you, share victories and vulnerabilities, and still turn, not out of hate, but out of cold advantage. You are not protected because they care. You are protected only when crossing you is more costly than standing with you. That is why Machiavelli placed his faith not in people, but in design. He built around structure, not affection, around pressure points, not promises. He believed that a powerful man must ensure others rely on him not emotionally, but structurally, that their own well-being is interwoven with his strength. He understood that when people are allowed too much comfort, Too much unchecked freedom. Betrayal does not feel like disloyalty to them. It feels like opportunity. This is why he praised rulers like Agathocles of Syracuse, who rose from obscurity not by sentiment, but by clarity of consequence, when those around him grew too equal, too comfortable, too entitled. He did not hesitate to restructure the circle, not out of cruelty, but to preserve order. In our world, we do not need to eliminate, we need to isolate. You reduce access, you divide responsibilities, you remove the shadows where betrayal forms, not to shame, but to disarm. Because the ultimate Machiavellian lesson is this: you do not prevent betrayal by hoping, you prevent it by making it ineffective. Let them try, let them whisper, let them plan. But if your structure is wise, your alliance is earned, and your vision unmoved, then betrayal will not pierce you. It will shatter on contact, like a blade striking iron. Quiet structure beats loud emotion. The most dangerous betrayal is not the one you see coming. It is the one you quietly excuse. It begins with a subtle change, a shift in tone, a hesitation where there once was certainty. Your instinct feels it, but instead of facing it, you justify it. You tell yourself they're tired, distracted, going through something, because acknowledging the truth means you must act, and most people would rather live in comfort than confront clarity. But Machiavelli, like a true Stoic, did not spare those who chose softness. He saw how entire empires collapsed, not through war, but through hesitation. Not through enemies, but through leaders who could not face the fact that loyalty has a time limit. He studied the Roman Republic and showed how its fall was not sudden. It was slow, a gradual drift of factions once unified. And what did the leaders do? They stayed blind, hoping the old alliances would hold. They did not. And by the time they opened their eyes, it was already over. The lesson is clear. Betrayal rarely begins with action. It begins in your silence. The Stoic path does not teach suspicion. It teaches vigilance. Machiavelli urged rulers to be observers, not out of cruelty, but out of necessity. Because power is not protected by affection, it is protected by anticipation. You must test the weight of the bonds around you, not with emotion, but with structure. If someone's allegiance depends on how they feel today, they're already a risk. If their loyalty remains only because they have no better option, they are already halfway gone. But if remaining loyal is the smartest move they can make, then you have built something that holds. So, what do you do when you sense the first fracture? Not accuse, not confront. That is noise, that is weakness. You shift. Quietly, you reassign, you remove privileges, you tighten access to decisions. You observe who adapts with strength and who recoils with fear. This is not punishment. It is design, a world where loyalty earns more and betrayal guarantees loss, not because you are ruthless, but because you are rational. Machiavelli admired rulers who never let any one person become too essential. He studied men like Ferdinand of Aragon, who rotated his alliances constantly, not because he lacked trust, but because he understood that power decays when it becomes predictable. In modern life, this means never placing all control in one hand. If a business partner grows too dominant, you create redundancy. If a teammate grows vague, you remove a layer of access. If praise becomes excessive and initiative vanishes, you take note. That is not loyalty. That is delay masked in charm. And when the signs align, when vagueness replaces clarity, when dependence fades and distance grows, you do not react with anger. You recalibrate in silence. You shift the board until their influence no longer touches anything that matters. Let them plan, let them whisper, but by the time they move, there is nothing left to take. This is the Stoic strategy. You do not prevent betrayal by demanding loyalty. You prevent it by making betrayal irrational. If they still choose to cross you, let them, because if you have structured wisely, by the time they act, their blade will not pierce, it will snap, and you will not have raised your voice once. So remember, the true measure of your power is not in how loudly you can defend it. It is in how silently you can protect it. By building systems that do not rely on affection, by standing guard not with emotion, but with clarity. Because in the end, it is not trust that holds power in place, it is structure. Let that be your strength. When one strike ends all doubt. Machiavelli never glorified cruelty, but he believed in the power of consequence. He understood that in times of betrayal, hesitation invites repeat offenses. In his study of the Roman Republic, he observed that stability was not preserved through leniency, but through decisive action when necessary. He wrote that a wise ruler must strike in such a way that he does not need to strike again. The Stoic sees the wisdom in this. When a betrayal is public, undeniable, and threatening to the foundation of what you've built, you do not respond emotionally. You respond with clarity, not for vengeance, but to preserve order. You do not scream. You do not react in haste. You do not attempt to negotiate loyalty once it has been broken in full view. Instead, you make the removal as precise as a sword drawn in silence. When someone crosses a line that threatens your vision, your name, your cause, you do not engage in noise. You shift the terrain beneath them so completely that they vanish from relevance. This is not retaliation, it is correction, a demonstration to others of what happens when loyalty is treated like a convenience rather than a principle in your world. This may look like the business partner who leaks your ideas, the colleague who poisons your name while smiling in your presence, the once close ally who tries to reroute your circle to serve their own ambition. You do not argue, you cut access. You expose weakness, not to shame, but to teach. You use the moment not to humiliate, but to establish precedent. A message, silent yet lasting. That betrayal is never strategic, that it leads not to power, but to irrelevance. The Stoic does not celebrate the fall of others, but he does not shy away from consequence when principle is violated, because power, real power, is not in how loudly you defend it, but in how clearly you define its boundaries. Let your response echo without raising your voice. Let your legacy be not in how many you defeated, but in how few ever dared to challenge the order you built. Make betrayal look foolish, not feared, just forgotten. If they betrayed and you still rose, stay with us. Subscribe for strength, clarity, and the power to never flinch.